of the press overhead. So there's going to be a little bit of a tweak.
Using Viper.
And the next variation is going to be where there's a press from the shoulders, but it's going to be more in the horizontal plane. And that's something we never largely consider. We often think of a shoulder press as being overhead. But we can certainly take it from shoulder away from the body at shoulder height. So let's show both variations. So we're going to start at shoulder height using the Viper. Take a transverse plane step directly up above the shoulders, coming back, and then taking another transverse plane step. This one is going to be a shoulder press at shoulder height away from the body. So just alternate between the two. So this one you're stacking the body tall. And on the second version here, what you're going to notice is a lot more torque. The moment arm is going to be a lot more aggressive on the second variation. So there's a lot more core demand and body demand to stabilize when you've taken an implement like the Viper away from the body, because your center of gravity is coming outside or at least near your base of support. So in time, we're going to learn about functional anatomy, these longitudinal lines of anatomy. And this is going to make more sense once we've discussed this, because that's when we start to challenge these lines.
Yeah. And the key with that is when you do things that get farther away from your body, that's where the load needs to be lighter, especially when you're learning yourself and especially when you're teaching your clients.
So what I'm going to have you do is just simply squat, and as you squat, just hold right there. You're going to lock everything in so that you're lifting truly from the legs and the pelvis. And as you drive those up in the air, it's a series where you create an impulse or inertia, and then you try to catch it a little bit lower onto the Viper. And then from there, just a simple press up and then down. Repeat the exercise. Drive from the legs, catch a little bit lower on the Viper, shoulder press, and then down. Drive from the legs, catch, and then a shoulder press, and then down. Now, what we're showing you here is slight variations which include a little bit more of the body to make it a little bit more metabolically demanding, but also to synergize the timing expression of the shoulder press.
It's kind of a two-point kneeling position where I have one knee on a bench and then I'll have one hand on the bench for stability.
The row.
The other arm will be doing the dumbbell. So we want to
Using dumbbells.
is foot position. Width is also going to be a factor in stability. So how stable
Also known as a
of inclination relative to the bench is going to determine where I'm
starting the more
stress placed upon the tissue. It's not that I'm going to have all of a sudden big bulging muscles in certain areas if I'm using a lot. It's just that I'm going to be placing certain tensions. There's going to be different reactions in the tissue based upon my angle of inclination. So in this position, now they're going to simply just lift in a rowing fashion. Now the key is the scapulohumeral rhythm. Because a lot of times what you'll see in a compensation is the scapula doesn't move, but the arm does. And so really what you're getting is you're getting a pull, but it's almost like a bicep curl, because they're not getting a lot of shoulder movement. So what we want to see is the shoulder initiates the motion and the elbow follows through. All right? So that's one variant. Now obviously it's a one-handed, so you only have the variation of one-handed. Now this is going to place a fair amount of stress through the trunk, so make sure that your client's prepared for that, because anytime you place one implement in one side of the body, you create a lot of torque through the trunk. So it's not bad, it's not good, it just depends on where your client is at that time. Now if we want to continue on with this posterior, this rowing aspect, and I'm looking at trying to stimulate or activate more posterior musculature, and I'm using the dumbbell, then I again have to position myself relative to gravity, which is my force, so I'm going to have a trunk inclination. And just as we did on the bench, the level of trunk inclination is going to determine the stress that's placed upon the whole posterior chain, and then in the region that I'm actually moving the arms, in this case the two-arm driver. So I can do this particular motion. I can have a knee bent to take some pressure off the chain to allow my hips to be a major access for the stability of this motion. I can go through my alternating, and I can go through the various different components with foot positions and my hand positions. So always remember your foot positions and your hand positions. Now as a variant way, depending on what your client's goal is, some of the exercises that you may see may be a little bit more integrated. And by that we mean that there's going to be more motions involved than just one specific rowing. So for instance, we may go into a bending at the hip, or almost like a deadlift to a row back up. And then I can also add in a curl if I so choose. So I can do a deadlift motion to a row, up to a curl. So I have multiple activities going on that are all hitting certain areas but integrating the whole body. The speed of motion, the range of motion, all are dictated by the same parameters we've talked about to this point, but these exercises involve more activation, more integration and can be metabolically much more demanding.